Here's today's First Word Daily Devotion.
Well, here we are at February the 9th today, and we have an opportunity to continue looking at the Exodus narrative, especially as it relates to what happened after Sinai, what happened as the Lord is spelling out what it means for the Israelites to fulfill the Ten Commandments. But I want us to go first as we begin our reading today. I want us to go into Matthew chapter 22 and just sort of set our bearings, because a lot of times when we're looking at this legal code of Exodus, we can lose our way as to the intention of the law. And the benefit of us reading the Everyday Bible by the ESV group, the ESV translators, we should say, is they provide us that wonderful perspective of a whole canon approach. So we're able to look at not only a reading from the Old Testament, we're able to be reminded that we are in the dispensation of the New Testament. There's no reason for us to act as if, even in our readings, no reason for us to act even as if the cross hasn't occurred or the life and narrative of Jesus hasn't happened. And so it provides us this perspective, this Bible reading plan this way provides us a perspective to remember where we are really in the purpose and plan of God. We're on this side of the cross, and on this side of the cross we get to uncover the meaning in a fresh way, in a new way, the meaning of the text in light of Jesus. And so look at what happens in Matthew chapter 25. The Pharisees went and plotted how to entangle him in his words. Now, we're reading the Bible, the Old Testament, that legal code. Remember, we don't want to be Pharisees. It is the word of the Lord that we're reading in Exodus. We're not trying, as we uncover the text, to tangle the Lord in his words. But then let's look at this, for example, this question of bring to Caesar what is Caesar's, just for you to point out in Matthew chapter 22. Notice the question that isn't answered by Jesus. The question that isn't answered is an important one for us to remember. They say they bring him the coin, whose image is on the coin? But the question that isn't answered is whose image is on you? And the answer to that, of course, is God's image is on you. And so the implication then is render unto God the thing that is God's. And then notice here the connection. Look at what verse 32 says of Matthew 22. I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. And just to ground our understanding of the law, this is a good reminder for us today on February the 9th. Look at the interaction with the Pharisees and the Sadducees after they're silenced. One of them, a lawyer, in verse 35, asked him a question, there again, to test him. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? And he said to him, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. And the second is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Now notice the language in verse 40. On these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets. So let's go back then. There's a lot to say from Psalm 37. One of my favorite Psalms, by the way, just for you to read through, especially verses 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Absolutely love that. But let's go back to Exodus just for a moment, just to sort of ensure that you're seeing the purpose and intent of the law as it's written here for us. Look, for example, in Exodus chapter 22 and verse 27. Notice what it says here. And if he cries to me, I will hear him, for I am compassionate. We have this vision of God here. And then verse 31, you shall be consecrated to me. And then look at chapter 23 and verse 13. Pay attention to all that I have said to you, and make no mention of the names of other gods, nor let it be heard on their lips. Now, look at this special character that we have here in Exodus chapter 23. In Exodus chapter 23 and verse 20. Behold, I send an angel before you to guard you on the way, and to bring you, notice who's doing the action here, to bring you to the place that I have prepared. Pay careful attention to him and obey his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he will not pardon your transgressions. Now, here's a key for us. For my name is in him. There's going to come a time where we come to the Proverbs. There's going to be a riddle before us. What is his name? And surely you know. And remember this. We've already encountered this when Jacob wrestled with the angel. Remember, Jacob asked the angel his name, but the angel didn't answer the question. What is his name? Surely you know. But notice, I want to show you this just as we close our time together. Look who does the action. Who is the one carrying his people along? Look at this is on, let's see, on page 142 in our ESV Everyday Bible, Exodus chapter 23. Look at verse 26. I will fulfill the number of your days. Verse 27. I will send my terror before you. I will make all your enemies turn their backs. I will send hornets before you. I will not drive them out from before you in 1 year. Verse 30, little by little, I will drive them out from before you. Verse 31, I will set your border from the Red Sea. And then I will give you the inhabitants of the land. You shall make, here's the implication in verse 32, you shall make no covenant with them and their gods. They shall not dwell in your land, lest you make you sin against me. For if you serve their gods, it will surely be a snare for you. So what's the purpose of the law? The purpose of the law, as detailed to us by Jesus, is so that we will, according to Psalm 37, trust in the Lord and do good, dwell in the land, befriend faithfulness. What's the purpose of the law? So that we will, Psalm 37 verse 4, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart.